Shinji is seeing his mother and also a woman holding her breast. Given the context and how events develop, it seems that it's Yui. But it's unclear and it has been subject of debates. Big part of the fandom seems to find likely that it's actually Asuka, but it also could be Misato or Rei, as for Shinji has identified them both as a mother in the past. In either case, Shinji here is craving for protection, a mother-like one. Shinji wants to return to his mother womb. That is the reasoning behind this, and why the image fades behind a wicked effect with a woman in the background. He rejects reality and wants to go back to that primordial stage of human development. In the next sequences, we will explore Shinji's psyche as we never done before, and all of the images are highly subjective. There are many angles and perspectives, and what you see here is a perception of you, the viewer, matched with your personal experiences. For some, are very deep and emotional. For others, might be superficial and redundant. Thus, I will interpret them as I see them, only as we are shown in the screen. The rest of it is up to you to decide. Shinji takes us to a playground, where he's playing in a sandbox. Sandboxes are essential in any playground, as they are known to stimulate the creativeness in children's brains. However, this playground and location of each of the figures that appear in it are not coincidental. We see a couple of mountains that are similar to a woman's breast, a sun that hides behind them that could either mean a heart or the core of the Eva given the real context. And Shinji is looking from underneath, exactly where a woman's womb should be, together with all of the sexual organs. Shinji is perceiving himself in his mother's womb. It is where he feels protected. It is where he escapes reality. Shinji tells us about the time he started to play cello. We saw Shinji play it in episode 15. Asuka heard him without him noticing it, and praised him for his skills. The reason why Asuka didn't know that Shinji played the cello after weeks living together is because Shinji always practiced when no one was around. Asuka hearing him was an accident. This is important because Shinji does have talent in playing cello, but he decided not to walk further with this talent. Instead, he decided to pilot an Eva, believing that this will bring him closer to his father. Shinji started to play cello when he was 5, and his mother disappeared when he was 3. According to official sources, the age of this Shinji is between 3 and 5. So this is intentional. Shinji says that he thought that coming here, Nerve, given that he built a pyramid, he could find something, and that something is his father's love. Both Shinji playing the cello and piloting an Eva are actions that are closely related by the fact that he didn't want to do either. He played the cello after a suggestion and piloted an Eva for Rei, for Misato, Asuka, everyone else, but more importantly for his father. He believed that by doing both, he eventually will get the recognition he was aspiring to get someday. When you do something that others want you to do, might bring happiness to them, but perhaps not to you, unless you find happiness on doing what others want you to do, which could lead to an empty happiness. This is where Shinji stands right now. A girl asked Shinji to build a castle, and as I mentioned before, he built a pyramid, nerves, and then we see 2 dolls, one that has mostly blue, and the other mostly red, both Rei and Asuka. And then a mother that sits above the stage, looking at them. This mother has Misato's haircut and color. Thus, Shinji's wish includes the 3 main female characters of this story. Misato takes both girls away. They have to leave, and Shinji is left alone, spending the rest of the day finishing his castle. Then, after finishing it, he decides to destroy it, as this represents his feelings towards Nerve, and more importantly, his father. But then, Shinji did what he has done in the past, had second thoughts about it, and rebuilt the pyramid, as he escaped from his father and returned, as he was not going to Tokyo 3 and went, as he left Nerve twice and got back twice. This is in summary his relationship with his father's work, And even if ever since the first time he jumped into EVA 1, he was being protected by his mother, throughout the story he felt alone. Like this boy feels right now. Everyone left him behind. Then we see an angry Asuka on top of Shinji. Now, this short sequence is one of the sources from the theory that Asuka and Shinji slept together at some point in the mid-story. There are not hard evidence of that, and I frankly believe that didn't happen. However, there are some indications that they get it on while on LCL in later sequences. Shinji and Asuka hurt each other's feelings in their own way. Asuka screaming and insulting, and Shinji more passive, underneath her, calmly speaking words that hurts even more. They cannot be with one another without hurting each other. The hedgehog dilemma. Instrumentality will be a very painful process for both of them, but also for Misato, whose voice we hear while taking a look at her cross, tainted in blood. Misato regrets not turning into that mother that Shinji needed. And then we jump to Misato and Kaji having a quality time together, in what it seems to be in college years, way before she met Shinji. But this is instrumentality, so time is ambiguous. Misato copes satisfying her physical needs, as she remarks that she does this to feel that she exists. The background discussion we hear between Asuka and Ritsuko works to reflect the similarities between both characters. However, the child, Asuka, doesn't understand what this is, and Ritsuko, the adult, explains to her, and Asuka judges Misato in a negative way. Shinji is surprised witnessing the whole scene. With her tainted cross in his hand, she is not pure under his eyes anymore. But Shinji knew Misato. He knew that she was a sexually active woman, who is extrovert and attractive. So he must have assumed that she did these kind of things, as it is only natural. But one thing is assuming it, and another is seeing it. Now, the same Shinji that visited Asuka in the hospital at the beginning of the movie feels disgusted by Misato. Shinji might feel jealous about this, but not for Kaji or Misato, or both of them being together, but because he didn't have that. He wants it, but at the same time he's afraid to do it. He also wants the women that surrounded him without personalities, only to exist for him, to take care of him. Asuka wants to intimate with Shinji, but she is very well aware of what he did in her coma, and she is angry. She kicks him. She needs to drain her anger physically, not only for what Shinji did, but for all that she has gone through, her depression and the events that led her there. This sequence is probably the biggest proof of Asuka's fans that this mystifies her toxicity in this relationship. As we are going to see, Asuka asks Shinji to understand her, to respect her, but he only sees her body parts, mouth, chest, neck, thighs. She's screaming at him because he doesn't listen to her. For more that he says that she never speaks to him, which is not true, because the few times that Shinji actually decided to listen to her, she opened up to him. Rei, who is handling this process, confirms this by asking Shinji if he even tried to understand her. Shinji may fool himself but cannot fool instrumentality, and proves it to him, putting Asuka's chest just a few inches from his face, in a very suggesting position. Rei is watching because she is proving a point. This is what he wants? Her chest? Her legs around him? That's all? Instrumentality reveals that Asuka is very well aware of what happened early in the hospital, but also that Shinji has satisfied himself multiple times having Asuka in mind. She is angry because he is afraid to actually have her. He just doesn't have the guts to do it, and she judges him. Shinji now sees that the women he was yearning for, they were just an illusion. They do not exist. They are more complex than he wanted them to be, and sees them as liars, all of them. Very interesting that in the whole sequence his father doesn't take any role. This is only his perception towards the women around him. That is what this is all about. Now, it seems that Shinji is the bad guy here, but he's not. And even though that all of these things are true, Shinji did risk his life to protect them, to care for them, piloting Unit 1 to prevent an injured Rei to do it, going into the magma without protective armor to save Asuka, fighting his inner demons to protect Misato against Zeruel. Shinji has behaved heroically in the past, but again, this doesn't matter in instrumentality, because the process makes you focus in what you hate the most about yourself and accept it, because only then you will be able to become a better person. Shinji once again turns his back to the women of his life, but now he's cornered by them under their judgmental sides. He tries to amend his mistakes and returns to Misato's kitchen. The time he kisses Asuka and tries to reason with her, telling her that he wants to help her and stay with her. But Asuka is tired. She has gone through a lot. She knows Shinji is not going to change, and the best thing that he can do for her is nothing. It's time to stop. His good guy masquerade doesn't hold too much and reveals his true intentions. He doesn't want to help her. He wants her to help him. Asuka confronts him, telling him the things he doesn't want to hear. Asuka's outfit, the coffee, liquor in the background, all of these symbols for adulthood that surround teenagers playing to be one. Shinji falls to the floor and Asuka sees at him, at us, the audience, as Rei did earlier, and she calls him, us, pathetic. And this is not coincidental, as for Anno's emphasis in criticizing and exposing the fandom and the otaku culture for not getting what they or we want is one of the main themes in the background of this movie, as I went over in the first video of this series. Shinji in his desperation while standing up and bringing everything down tells another truth. Earlier he said he needed Asuka. Now he needs anyone. Anyone would do. For him, Asuka is coincidental, just because she happens to be there. This is the cruel reality of the hero of this story. All of this sequence might seem like Shinji is experiencing all this on his mind. And even though some might be, this is actually happening inside instrumentality. This Asuka is the actual Asuka, the real Asuka, which means that both of them are, well, themselves here. Shinji asks Asuka to stay with him, to not to kill him, but Asuka is decided, it's time to move on. She waited for too long and she's tired. And then the choking scene. Asuka reacts in surprise by Shinji's attack. His first physical move on her ever is an act of violence, which Asuka wasn't expecting from the docile Shinji. But also, she might be realizing that she will die for real by asphyxiation, just as her mother did. Choking is an act of violence very common in Evangelion, and it does have its meaning. Punches, slaps are only portrayed to inflict pain to someone as an act of desperation to teach a lesson. But choking prevents the victim from talking, to shut them off, because words hurt, and hurt more than any type of physical wounds. It's a heartless form of violence. Shinji, by choking her, shows his worst self. The same crazy face he showed against Zeruel is seeing Asuka an enemy of that level now, because she hurt him with her words. He's decided, and he's enjoying seeing her life slip away. Comes to her thought, or comes with death, starts playing in the background. Anno's written song might very well be their story, one of sadness, suicidal thoughts, pride, and the desire to turn back time, rewrite, and rebuild. Here Asuka is more than the person, the individual. Here Asuka is everyone. Is Rei, Misato, his father, humankind. He's done with it. His wish is to get rid of them all, to make everyone disappear. We will retake it from here in my next installment, as we take a closer look to the end of Evangelion. I publish Evangelion and other anime content each week. If you don't want to miss the next episode, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell notification button. If you haven't already, but you still feel that you're missing on the notification, consider to follow me on Twitter at miksanz or join my Discord for free, where I provide daily update to the channel, Evangelion news, and current and classic anime incessant discussion. You will find the link in the description section down below. Guys, thank you all so much for watching, and as always I wish you all a wonderful day.